Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Kevin Laws here at the National Weather Service in Birmingham. A little bit of a complex situation come over the next 2 days. I'm sure you've all heard about over the weekend. We're going to try to get right to it here. I'm just going to warn you up front. Our bandwidth is extremely slow today, so I'm going to try to take our time and make sure everybody's on the same page and we can catch up because obviously I know you have tons of questions and hopefully we have some answers for you this morning. We'll jump right into it. Essentially what we're going to deal with is a little bit of an unusual situation. Obviously, you've been hearing and seeing that the heavier snow this time is going to be across the southern part of our area, southern part of Alabama, southern half basically, and that's the kind of situation we're going to deal with. We feel pretty good about some timing. I've spaced it out to say Tuesday morning, okay? So this stuff is going to come in from the southwest, so our southwestern counties, Marengo, Sumter, Green, Hale, maybe even as far north as Pickens, Dallas, Perry, you guys are going to start to see this stuff first. And what we're thinking right now is essentially what I have drawn is that basically the major metro areas along I-20, and just follow my lines that I have here, are going to see probably the lightest snow. And that's going to be the theme throughout. The further south you go, obviously the heavier it's going to be. So we're expecting generally light snow to begin in those counties, Demopolis over to Selma, maybe even Montgomery as we get closer to lunchtime. So again, everything's going to spread up from the southwest. Now, that's not going to be as big of an issue as areas further south. And I'm talking about south of Interstate 85 and probably Highway 80. And we're starting to see evidence that we're going to have a nice freezing rain, sleet, some kind of ice situation develop before the snow begins. So don't be surprised if areas down south of Montgomery, south of 85, you start to see sleet and ice pellets develop and spread further east and northeast as the day goes on. So let me move into Tuesday afternoon. Again, let me make sure everybody's slides catch up. It's going to take just a few minutes because again, everybody's hitting our website this morning, so you can understand our bandwidth is obviously pretty poor. This is what we're expecting for Tuesday afternoon to begin. The line of sort of the flurries to light snow is going to be in about the same place, but we're going to see this really spread inland by Tuesday afternoon. And then I expect to see a heavier band begin to develop down across our south, again, probably that Highway 80, 85 corridor to be a more moderate band of snow. And I'm talking about towns maybe as far north as Demopolis to Selma to Montgomery over to Auburn. That entire band right there is probably going to end up being some kind of moderate snow by Tuesday afternoon. We're talking about after lunch. I'm also expecting that sleet and more problematic sleet, ice pellets, freezing rain area down in our south to also pivot up that way, southern Montgomery County, southern Lee County southward by Tuesday afternoon. So there's a really warm nose right off the surface that's going to melt a lot of the snow and refreeze it on the way down probably in those areas. So again, don't take my lines as ground truth. Somewhere though we are expecting that sleet and ice pellets to be down in our extreme southeastern counties. Now as we transition into Tuesday evening, and I'm talking about probably at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. afterwards as we go into sunset and maybe a little bit beyond sunset, I expect that area that we were talking about, the ice pellet freezing rain, to transition to all snow eventually and probably be pretty moderate to heavy even at times down across those areas. So we'll start to see the light snow areas shrink down to our south and these heavier bands begin to develop down across our southeastern counties. Again, probably the sweet spot here being confined somewhere south of 80, 85, down in that corridor that we have drawn there. There should be a pretty big sweet spot that develops Tuesday evening. And as we go into the overnight hours on Wednesday morning now, the newest guidance is coming in is suggesting that this stuff is going to probably get ushered out of here pretty quick. So we may make some forecast adjustments. I know some of you are seeing in the forecast for Wednesday morning after you wake up to still be snowing, but we're starting to see that speed up now as we would expect. And a lot of this ending, again, probably the same way it began from southwest to northeast. As this thing pivots up into Georgia and the Carolinas, we'll start to see it ending across most of our areas, and probably by Wednesday morning, by the time you wake up, we'll most likely, except for maybe the extreme east and southeast, we're probably going to be completely finished with this thing and back to clearing, at least some clearing skies. Okay, big questions are, what about the amounts? And I'm going to go back to this slide to let you ask your question, but snow amounts, this is what we're talking about here. Snow amounts are going to be heaviest in this area that we have highlighted here. Now again, this is exactly what we're forecasting for right now. This may change ever so slightly, but I want you to notice something. Notice how the heaviest band is here, and then it gets a little bit on the lighter side down toward Barber and Pike counties, maybe even parts of Russell. And that's because of that onset. We're talking about ice and snow. That's not going into our accumulations here, but you may have snow on top of the freezing rain. So we do have the amount slightly lower as you go further southeast because, again, that onset of ice to begin with. Other places that onset is snow will certainly be in the higher amounts. Right now our sweet spot, we're going to have over 3 inches across this 85 and just slightly south corridor, and then you taper off really pretty quickly as you go further north. Now again, this is our best forecast right now. So this gradient that you see, it's a very tight gradient that's going to be from around southern Shelby County all the way down to the city of Montgomery. That gradient may move slightly north or south as time goes on and as we refine the forecast, but right now that's what we're expecting. Again, just keep in mind that it's a very difficult forecast because you're talking, you guys and all of our customers really in the southeast expect us to get the forecast to be within a quarter to half inch. That's a very difficult thing to do with snow, so just keep that in mind as we go forward. Now, your second questions are probably going to be, what about the temperatures? So let's cover that real quick. Wednesday morning, and I don't want to get away from this as far as the quote-unquote melting is concerned, we're going to be really cold here on Wednesday morning, and I'm talking about in the teens, and probably a hard freeze warning will be in effect for Wednesday morning. Wednesday afternoon, the high temperature is not going to be much better. We're expected to hover in the 30s. If you got a snowpack on the ground, even an inch of snow, especially with ice underneath, it's going to be extremely difficult to get that away, and then probably even to get us above freezing. So even a high in the mid-30s may be optimistic for Wednesday afternoon, especially if you have snow on the ground. Thursday, especially Thursday morning, not looking much better. We're going to be back probably close to a hard freeze again, which is 15 or lower for a lot of the area. You may see upper teens down in the southeast, but again, not looking at a big melt-off. And by Thursday afternoon, I think we'll start to rebound, maybe get back up into the 40s. So again, temperatures is only one aspect as far as melting is concerned. The sun out, if it's out, will also help with that. Even if it's near or below freezing, the sun being out will help. But just watch for areas to refreeze again for Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon, it's going to be really iffy as far as how much snow melt we get, even in the mid-40s. Again, if you have a snowpack, expect that to be optimistic, even for mid-40s. So again, that's what we're looking at for Wednesday and Thursday temperature.